Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much. I am super excited that you decided to click play, and I hope you'll stick around. And if you've been here before and a return visitor, thank you so much. I really appreciate knowing that people are coming back and enjoying my content, so I appreciate you deciding to spend a little bit more time with me here in my little space. Tonight, I'd like to do a walkthrough of the deck. I had actually done a walkthrough of this deck about a month ago. What is today? Yeah, about a month, 6 weeks ago. My God, time flies. I had done it while I was out in Seattle in my friend Misha's beautiful, beautiful office space, which doubles as a guest bedroom for when I'm there. Thank you guys. And her space is so beautiful, and the walls are just everything's just gorgeous. I had filmed the video of the unboxing of this deck while I was out there, and I don't know what happened or why. And I've had this happen a couple of times before where I will film and then it just simply, it shows the timestamp of how the video is filmed for 20 minutes or whatever, but it will not play. And so this is a redo of that video, and it is the Förhäxa tarot. And I wanted to film it while I was out there for a couple of reasons. Number one, Misha's husband, Joel, gifted me the deck. We were talking, and he loves crows, and he's built a really lovely relationship with the crows just around their house. And he feeds them peanuts daily, and they know him, and it's really, really cool to see him building this relationship with the crows. And the creatrix of the deck that I'll be doing tonight also did the Crow Tarot, which is hugely popular. And Joel has a copy of that deck. And we were talking about the crows. We were talking about the Crow Tarot, and he pulled out a couple of decks, and I was so surprised. I was like, Joel, you have tarot decks. And his wife is an amazing artist, Misha, my dear friend, who's created decks. So it just kind of surprised me that he had other decks. I didn't realize he was, becoming a connoisseur of tarot, but he pulled out the Förhäxa tarot, and when I was like, oh my gosh, this has been on my wish list forever, he very graciously gifted the deck to me. So I wanted to do the video while I was in Seattle because the deck creatrix is from Seattle, and it was gifted to me by a Seattleite in Seattle, but unfortunately that video didn't take. So this is scene take two, back here in my own space. And without further ado, here we have it, the Förhäxa tarot. It's so interesting. It's not my normal kind of go-to artwork, but it's so lush and so beautiful. And I'm really, really looking forward to getting to know this deck more and working with it more. And so here's the box. It's very sturdy, cardboard box. So if you're a person who travels with your decks, this is a safe place, safe, sturdy construction. And a land of enchantment awaits is what's on one side, and then the title Förhäxa is on the other side, and the top, and then the bottom of the deck. And this beautiful imagery, this is what is the Empress card, as we will see momentarily. And then on the back, journey through the magical land of Förhäxa, Swedish for to enchant, cast a spell, and bedevil. This is a realm where dark and light collide, where the elements hold court, where we find ourselves connecting to a force outside our own. And it's by M.J. Cullinan. So this deck is very much, it's very fae, energy, very nature spirit energy. So the guidebook, here it is. And it's a nice little guidebook. It is in the beginning, and I'll just read the quote that she has. The ground we walk on, the plants and creatures, the clouds above constantly evolving into constantly dissolving into new formations, each gift of nature possessing its own radiant energy, bound together by cosmic harmony. Ruth Bernard. And then she goes on to, MJ goes on to talk about, discuss preparing your deck for use and how she feels it's important to cleanse and clear a deck before you use it. Mindfully sitting with your deck. You can cleanse with smoke. She talks about leaving it in the sun, although that's a challenge in Seattle, as she does point out. So it's important. I like that she feels that it's important to reset the energy of your specific deck, since it's gone through transit and travel and, to get to your hands, to cleanse the deck from any other previous energies. Then she goes on to show where she does do yes, no, and she has a section for a list of cards that read as yeses, a list of cards that read as nos, and a list of cards that she would read as a maybe. Then if you're just pulling a card a day. And then I like this section that she has, questions from the major arcana. And it's a really cool way, I think, to understand the meanings of each card by asking a specific question. For example, the Fool. Are you letting the fears or opinions of others prevent you from taking a leap of faith? The High Priestess. When you tune in to the world around you, what do you see, hear, and feel? Let's see. The Star card. Are you able to see the brightness you have within, the part of yourself that deserves to be loved and love and belonging? So I think that's pretty cool to have, as opposed to a definition of each one of the major arcana. It formed in an interrogative, in a question form. And then she goes on to give a detailed explanation and meaning of the cards. And the way that each one reads is, it's almost as though she is taking the Fool's journey as the creatrix of the deck, in how she explains and almost narrates the cards. And it's almost like giving you an idea of what her creative process is like, which I think is a really unique take on a guidebook. And I have a feeling that some of these are personal experiences that she has had literally in life. Some are personal experiences, perhaps through journeying, or things that Spirit might have shown to her in her experiences as a practitioner and in the creation of the deck. So I think that that's really cool. And the card titles, so we've got some changes of some things in card titles, and in the major arcana, when I go through those, I'll make that known, or it'll be kind of obvious. Fire, wands are called fire. Cups are water, swords are air, and pentacles are earth. And we also have a change, let's see here. Pages are pages, knights are knights, queens are queens, but kings are renamed as elders. And then on the back, it gives you a little bit of information about MJ Cullinan and her relationship to tarot and her background as an artist. So there's our guidebook. definitely well worth a read. So, without further ado, I have to work on that, you guys. You know, the verbal pauses that we have, so I've realized is mine. And as a tour guide, I worked really hard to get rid of that, and I find I'm doing it on my videos. Bear with me. I was about to say so. Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm working on it. Okay. Here is, I've trimmed my decks so much. I was trying to find, I don't have anything that's not trimmed. The cards are definitely larger than a standard size. Let's see, I think this is is it a self-published deck? It might be with Hay House. Don't quote me. Let me see if she says. I think it might have been originally a self-published deck. Oh, she has a little section in the back of the guidebook for you to take notes, which is cool. A couple of blank pages. Thank you for supporting the creation of Förhäxa. Love and bright blessings to all. I was trying to see if she... I think this must have been originally... Yeah, this was a self-published deck originally. If I'm not mistaken, at this point, it is through Hay House, but don't quote me on that. I know you can pick up a copy on Amazon. But the cards are definitely larger than a standard US Games deck. I've got pretty big hands, so for me, I can still handle them quite well. If you do have smaller hands, I still think you could. This is the back, and it almost reminds me of like an old-fashioned quilt or embroidery on there. Really pretty pattern. I can see a sun represented. I can see a moon represented. I can see clearly the leaves on the trees and the new growth. So yeah, it's definitely a feel to the natural world when you look at that. But again, it just feels like a cozy quilt that someone's aunt or grandmother or mother embroidered and made. The cardstock, it's very, very flexible, but they're almost like a plastic coating. Because at first I was like, oh my gosh, these are pretty flimsy cards. Not impressed. Au contraire, mon frère, because it's a plastic. It's a very, very thin, very flexible plastic, which is fantastic if you're a person who reads professionally, if you're a person who is going to use this deck a great deal. It will stand up through the test of time, I truly believe, because the flexibility you can definitely riffle shuffle with, and it is very, it's plastic. So humidity, atmospheric conditions, and use. Let us begin. The Fool. And that she definitely has, it's not a Rider-Waite clone. It's, I would say, based on Rider-Waite Smith, but as you can see, it's definitely not a clone, with our little worker bees down here and our precious fairy contemplating. Is she gonna leave the hive? Is she going into the hive? The bird that's screaming in her ear. Perhaps some intuition, perhaps information she may need. But as you can see, it's definitely a nod to fairy and fae energy. Really cool magician. I love the blue skin tone on the magician and harnessing that power, and the snowdrops coming up. I really enjoy this High Priestess, and I love the jewel tones as well as the muted. I really like the color scheme that she's used for the deck. I love how this High Priestess has the bat wings and the different representations of the phases of the moon, her feet in the water, nod to that liminal space and going down into the depths of emotion, of the psyche, of the unknown. the wings with the ability to float back and forth to travel. I love her horns. I love that card. And then again, the image from the box, the exterior of the box, this beautiful pregnant empress. I do like a pregnant empress. Irises, the bunny rabbits, the flowers, so such a nod to all kinds of fertility and growth and Venusian energy. Instead of an actual emperor, we have the Council of Monarchs, and it is the 4. So it's a nod to the emperor being Roman numeral 4, but there are 4 individuals, and I love how they're holding a representation of their element, earth, air, fire, and water. And the thing I like about this card is it's interesting to me as a nod to not giving one person ultimate power and control, but having a council, so a system of checks and balances, and equality in the power that's shared between the collective. I really, really like that. Hierophant. Now, to me, this deck, I'll be honest, I don't know that I would ever read, maybe, with this deck for clients. I love this Chariot. I mean, how could you not? Oh, I love that Chariot. I maybe I would read for clients. I love how it is the dragon as opposed to the traditional lion. Forgive me, you guys. The brain fog situation it's real. So when you hear the pauses, I'm still dealing with a lot of post-COVID issues. It's a really lovely hermit. Something about this image gives me vibes from the Gill Tarot, if you are familiar with that. I really like this Justice card. Again, I love the color palette that she has used for this card, for this deck. It goes from muted tones to jewel tones. I think this is really interesting where someone is grasping and holding the Hanged Man, the Hanged One. So I could see possibly reading for clients professionally with this deck, but for me, Mischievous Devil, this deck is great for, or I will plan to use it for journaling, for creativity and for journaling. It's a beautiful star. Kind of self-exploration. I think it'll be really good for that. I love this Judgment where she is laying here and her soul, her skeleton with her fairy wings is transforming and ascending. This beautiful World card with the paper lanterns. So now, Ace of Fire. Lots of crows on that one. A lot of winged creatures, including individuals. And again, that makes sense because it is associated with nature spirits and the Fae. This is really cool for a fire as the Fae is being born from the chrysalis, the cocoon, like a butterfly or a moth. These aggressive serpents that she's holding off. These look like Gila monsters, Komodo dragons on this Six of Wands. She's in complete command. I think this is a really unique and beautiful take on the Eight of Wands because, you know, traditionally Eight of Wands is literally just 8 wands flying through. So to be able to convey that meaning and have a unique take on it, I think is pretty cool. 10 of Fire. And again, we have pages that are named as such. It's Knight holding on to the serpent. And I like the horned creatures as we have here in both the Queen and the Elder, which is renamed as the King. And I do want to say, as I show you the King, I do want to, oh wow, there's a specific Norse symbol. I'm pretty sure this, don't quote me, I'm pretty sure this is Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. It's definitely a Nordic symbol at the top. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous card. And again, because there are so many people of Scandinavian and Norse descent that live in Seattle. And as far as those, I know that I did skip over and did not include the Six of Wands. It is on my altar or on an altar at this time, next to a candle. So that's why it wasn't shown. Now into the water, Ace of Water. This beautiful Two of Water with the mermaids. That's gorgeous. And the Three gives you almost a feeling of fluidity and movement. What a beautiful Four. Interesting that someone else is pictured on the four there as opposed to just the hand reaching out. Definitely conveys the sorrow. I love this precious little Six of Water. The seventh sitting on a crescent moon with the stars. That's very fantastical kind of energy, like a traditional one. Eight of Water with the blue butterflies. 9 or 10. There's just so much going on in the cards, but I don't feel like it's too much. Oh, look how beautiful she's holding the conch shell. The swans and the one in the water and then the flying one. How beautiful. So lots of mermaids in our water cards. I like that there's so much going on, but it doesn't feel too much. Oh, this is beautiful as the fairy of earth is nurturing and giving her energy for that seed pod to release that new sprout. Look at that precious fox. Look at that precious fox, everybody working together. That's really cool with the Three of Pentacles. The fox, the fae, the crow. How beautiful is she on the 4? This 5 is unsettling. Not unsettling in an intense way, but not overly intense way, but just that, yeah, really captures a lot of energy with that 5. 6. There's the 7, another little foxy fox. 8. 9. This 10 of Pentacles may be one of my absolute favorite 10s. And for me personally, there's a lot of symbolism in this that is very specific for me personally, that really resonates and means a great deal. Page. Our Knight. I do like my knights with movement, but we don't have it. Beautiful Queen of Pentacles and King or Elder. And now into the air cards. Summoning the clouds that are almost turning to dragons. 2, you could just feel the wind. It's like I can almost feel the air moving around me and circulating when I look at that card. This 3 of Swords. Need to sit with that one. Need to sit with that one. 4. 5. This 5 of air as a 5 of swords just makes me think a lot of just malicious gossip for some reason. And when I think about the traditional meaning of the 5 of swords and then pair it with this picture, it makes me feel like unkind words and gloating. And look at this 7. Oh wow, I just realized this is the Council of Monarchs, and the 7, this Fae is listening in on things that she probably should not, or perhaps secret agent spy, maybe she needs to be finding out the information. Definitely here for that 8. 9. 10. That is some powerful imagery on the 10. Our Page of Air. Our Queen. The Falcon or Hawk. Our King with what looks like a very terrifying looking hornet that would cause great damage. And the Elder. So the cards are very slick. They are semi-glossy, I would call them. Just under high gloss, very semi-gloss. And because they are plastic, essentially, I'm calling them plastic or plastic coated, they are very, very slick. So they do shuffle, but I would say need to be careful because they would easily slide and could spill over, but it is what it is. And as far as those who riffle shuffle, it is a pretty big deck. And again, I've got big hands and I can't quite get them enough to flex my hand to do the riffle shuffle. So on the side, yeah, if you riffle shuffle from the side, yes, that can be done. So let's just pull a card in closing. Ooh. And what fell out here? Justice. How beautiful. Again, there's this imagery is so beautiful. I just really want to sit and journal with it. But the first thing I'm noticing are these red poppies. And as I think about that with justice and the thoughts of truth, it's a nod to me of saying, don't become intoxicated or fill up on something that gives you misperceptions of the truth, inability to be aware and astute, to recognize truth from fact. Because sometimes what we feel is true, or from our perception what is true, our experience what rings true, may or may not align with the facts. And how sometimes are we prepared to know the truth, the change that can happen once we have discovered the truth. Having the ability to block out perhaps what we would prefer a situation to be or represent, and looking at it for what it is and making an informed choice and decision based on intuition and logic and common sense. Where in our lives, or whenever this video finds you, perhaps questions to ask yourself. And actually, since she has questions in the guidebook, let me pull it out and see what her question is for her Justice card. Okay. Deep in the woods, there is a fairy that watches over 2 trees. They are the trees of karma. The only way to pass is to choose a door. One door takes you to the other side of the tree, where the trail continues. The other side of that door the other door leads to a path created by your past. Waiting for you on the other side of that door depends what brought you to this point in the road. The fairy wielding 2 large swords will not let you just back up and turn around. No, you must face justice head on. If you have been true to yourself and to others, then walking through either door, it will not matter. They will both lead you to the same place. However, if you've been less than honest or a wrong that needs to be set right, this is your opportunity to make amends and progress. The trees of karma force you to take ownership of your actions. If you made errors before, things spiral out of control. When you come across the trees, you're presented with an opportunity to solve a problem before it gets bigger. When justice appears in a reading, you may need to consider if your actions are working towards a better life in the long run, and the decisions you are making are the decisions you are making just serving you in the short term? At some point, for better or for worse, you will be accountable for your actions. Before making any big decisions or life changes, you want to consider the long-term cause and effect. So I meant to read, about to lose battery, wrapping it up. So I meant to read the question that she poses, and I went into the guidebook meaning and figured let's just keep going since I was halfway through it. But the last question that she poses is, are the decisions you make today based on logic and wisdom, or are you letting expectations cloud your judgment? So again, everybody, this has been a walkthrough of the beautiful Förhäxa Tarot. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next video.